very delighted to have Peter Clayton with us today, who's going to speak about his initiative that is NatureFest and Planet Hack. These are few of his initiative among many. And he's a speaker at our Terra Torrent Dialogue series, a key part of the Terra Confluence 2024, which is the Earth Day initiative from Global Climate Association. So Peter stands at the forefront of environment action with his ambitious goal of establishing 500 Nature Fest locations worldwide by 2030, aiming to elevate environmental consciousness on a global scale. His unique hackathon model with Planet Hack empowers students around the world to develop sustainable solutions for the planet's regeneration. Peter's commitment to practical environmental problems solving and his drive to achieve net zero operation positions him as a catalyst in both local and global environmental efforts. Join us to gain insights from Peter as he shares his experiences in creating impactful environmental festivals and fostering a community of change makers for a sustainable future, along with the theme of having fun. So, welcome, Peter.
Thank you so much. Great to be here. I appreciate it. And I look forward to what happens in the next half an hour to an hour. So thank you.
Sure. So today in the Torrent Dialogue series, I'll be putting forward a bunch of questions to you and your some themes on which we will discuss our your views and how to accomplish climate action, environmental action, and sustainability in the next few years that you say by 2030. So for the first question to you, Peter, is with the ambitious goal of 500 Nature Fest locations by 2030, how do you envision these festivals driving global environmental awareness and action? And what do you mean by Nature Fest, if you could elaborate on that?
Sure. Thank you. That's a great question. And I'll do my best to answer it. So the festival idea effectively, I guess, leverages how human beings work well together by bringing everyone together, creating some energy, and through a choreographed festival, enabling us to be educated, upskilled through workshops, inspired through music, other various arts and so forth, but ultimately have it designed or have them designed in a way that by the end of the festival, we have clear paths as individuals and as collectives to take specific action at the local level, at the global level, in all sorts of ways that I think at the moment isn't being achieved because of the the atmosphere and organized festivals that I believe can be created that don't exist, and there can be their knowledge shared around the world to have them, growing more quickly. I don't know if that answers some of your questions, but I think in general, where I see the power of the festivals and in having impact is through bringing people together. At the end of the day, I certainly haven't got the answers to everything, not close, but I think by doing that, it enables us, collectively to find out those answers and to make them happen faster.
That is great, Peter. And we hope to have this sort of an international collaboration with people like you all over the world to make this a reality, actually. So, moving on to the hackathon model impact. So, how has the hackathon model, if it has been employed by Planet Hack so far, successfully engaged students in solving real-world environmental problems? So, is this the Planet Hack has been an idea, or it has already been implemented by you in some setting? Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, for sure. So Planet Hack is still evolving, I guess, at a conceptual level, off the back of a hackathon I went to at a local university about maybe 6 weeks ago, and what I saw there blew my mind, if I'm honest. There was about 30 teams of students that came together to try and solve or hack problems over the period of 2 days in a circular and sustainability space. And what I saw inspired me to, I guess, recognize that this model of having, again, a bit like NatureFest, bring people together and getting that energy up, getting that vibration up through whether it was competition in that perspective or what have you, people start, I saw it happen, the skills or the just the cooperation helped everybody grow much more quickly. And on top of that, having mentors there and so forth, I suddenly saw a really powerful model that could, um, enable, like there was just so many ideas that came out of it that we can hack together more fast, more quickly in an organized way. But my brain then, I guess, went to, well, how can we optimize this as a tool? And how can we scale it? So that led to all sorts of thinking, and I'm in conversations with the people behind the hackathon to keep moving it forward. But as I looked at it, I guess I saw a lot of opportunities to maximize the impact. So I'm covering off two topics here, because with Planet Hack, I see both in-person hackathons as well as the platform, which is a different conversation. I'll try and get to it shortly if I can. But with regards to the on-the-ground hackathons, and potentially, in fact, sorry, I kind of create as I go, the virtual hackathons, after the actual hackathon occurs, both the individual groups or what have you, what seemed to be missing from what I've seen was the follow through beyond that, to help take these projects and these ideas, these hungry, enthusiastic students have developed to, 85%, and then have that ongoing support, mentors, paths to help them get investment if it's required or whatever the case might be, seems to be what was lacking. So that led to, I guess, an ongoing now creation of a model that can optimize that part of the process, as well as looking at, which I did some surveys on LinkedIn to confirm, have a model where the hackathons and the students can be paid to hack by businesses that have problems to solve specifically. So that idea, once I recognized that, businesses will pay to have these problems solved, well, great, why don't we put all these students from around the world in one place, one platform, in an organized way, what their specialties are, what their backgrounds are, what their profile is, whatever the case might be, their hackathon history, perhaps, excuse me, their star ratings and what have you. And suddenly, you've got a scenario where it's a business, you can literally, like a menu, pick hackers to solve your problems. And the models that are out there, there's many, but one of them, to make it feasible, I guess, into it, let's say yourself or what have you, as a scientist or something, you put yourself out there because you're a problem solver, you want to help the world and do sorts of things. And through a matchmaking operation within the platform, it helps guide you to the opportunities that are best aligned for you to then make a decision of, I want to hack with these guys, I want to hack with this one, or whatever the case might be. And one of the models we're looking at is simply having and there's a model out there called clarity.fm, which is a little bit similar. And what they do is whoever puts themselves on the website as a hacker, in this case, you allocate $1 per minute value for your time. So there might be people that are $2 a minute, which is $120 an hour to have the service. Might be, 50 cents a minute through to $20 a minute, or whatever the case might be. And so businesses can then, in terms of solving real problems, leveraging students and consultants and scientists, that are working together that are specific to that problem, they can, allocate $5,000 to hacking that problem, and away they go. People chew on it and get it done. And again, though, I think there's potential there to have massive follow-through potential as well to support these businesses to actually implement, these changes and ideas that obviously critically at the moment around the world to transition at speed. And so really excited about Planet Hack. One of my challenges at the moment is always getting pulled around in different initiatives, but I see NatureFest and Planet Hack as huge ones. Again, both with the collective, bring people together with the nature festivals in an organized way, but with the Planet Hack, which will be promoted and they'll be hacking at the festivals. I see it as, often it is just a bottleneck or, in an organization or what have you, that if we can solve that problem, it just keeps that momentum going or what have you. So anyway, we'll see what happens with Planet Hack, but I'm looking forward to it, and to be able to have it scaled so that even the in-person hackathons like the one I've seen can be really optimized as a model to then duplicate and share, because there's a lot of improvements that could have been done, like anything. It was only just getting started, that can, evolve to, I think there's 25,000 plus universities around the world. So maybe 5,000 universities with hackathons that are optimized in terms of how they operate. Suddenly you've got solid impact. It should also create jobs for the businesses that are created, or internships or what have you. And that leads to the next step, which is actually another conversation about Planet University, which is reverse engineering the education needed to solve problems that are uncovered along the way, and all sorts of things. But maybe we can do that another time. You got me on a roll now. But does that answer some of your questions? I guess that's
It does. It
ramble.
does. also opens up a new avenue of thought that because usually most people what they think being a activist, environmental activist, or someone who's working on those issues are mostly people who are doing it for their own as a part of protest, and then that is not something they can earn out of. But the ideas that you have been presenting, that includes that the students or maybe anyone who comes up with the solution and they get paid for their ideas for the implementation part. So it makes into not only just something to do for the planet as a in personal go as a personal initiative or a goal, but it is also something that we can live off. We can be sustained doing those practices. So that is something that will encourage more people or students participation into these ideas. So this is a very positive thing that we are putting forward. So I like the idea of Planet Hack and as well as Nature Fest. So moving on, I would um, ask a broad sort of a question, that is, what are the key strategies to Nature Fest and Planet Hack implement to accelerate humanity's transition to a sustainable world? So you right now explain something about Planet Hack. Maybe you could explain how Nature Fest plans on implementation of its idea for a sustainable world. What are the different parts of Nature Fest that you wish to bring forward?
Good question. I think ultimately one of the big ones to help everything is to help shift our paradigm, our outlook, our mindset with respect to nature, and really getting that education as well, that we could, from the depths of, the fact that we are unsustainably, obviously, destroying nature to the point where if we, don't stop, there'll be beyond serious consequence. And just bringing that reality to life, I think, is a big part of Nature Fest, because then once you've got that attention and that reality, I think the problem would be taken much more seriously by many more people, which is obviously needed. So I think, from answering your question, one of the major things is to educate, inspire, but to mobilize people through just having them motivated through the awareness that I think can be achieved when you've got speakers as well. Obviously great speakers at the Nature Fest and so on. The reason I act every day is because I've become educated. I've learned enough to go, okay, this is a serious problem, and I've got kids and the future, and the temperature's going up at an obscene speed, and we're in a beyond serious problem. And so in terms of impact, I was thinking about it before the call. I think it's hard to measure, because if someone's come to a Nature Fest, they might then go off and plant some mangroves or something and have a contribution. But their enthusiasm, they're sharing the story, they're bringing friends along that then go to Nature Fest or get on Planet Hack. That vibration and ripple effect, I think, is what's huge. And so I do, beyond the actual orchestrated design of the Nature Fest, where you've got specific initiatives, for people that are involved to take action on. And that doesn't just have to be planting trees and so forth. That can be helping to circularize businesses in the region, whether it's helping transition to circular fashion. Because at every festival, you've got consultants, you've got doctors, you've got scientists, you've got plumbers, you've got, we've got the general population. And so there's people that can be attracted, certainly, as well, that are specialists in that area, so that they're then, again, a collaboration opportunity for birds of a feather flock together, and then presenting them with specific problems that has been prior researched as to what the local region ideally, chronologically needs to work on, whether it is circularizing fashion or construction or what have you, or planting mangroves or whatever other initiatives that have been discovered around the world that can be implemented, to case, in my mind, of how do we optimize that impact through organized flow of motivated people with the right mindset, and see what happens.
How would you make it fun? I can see that you have a bunch of ideas at the back of your, like on your board, saying
Yeah.
Nature Fest includes songs and puppets and stories and comedy. So make the idea of you have the turtle with you.
I have Tommy. I have Tommy the tortoise, and he's part of the Nature Puppet Show, where he makes sure we keep online one day at a time. Puppets, I think, are a one way. They're a lot of fun. I hope that was okay, just jumping into Puppet
Sure.
Man for a while. But I think, yeah, I think fun is huge. I've actually got on my wall, 3 important things, which is energy is number one, then fun, and then focus. And if I'm low on energy, which I am a bit now, to be honest, I need to look after myself a bit better. I need sleep and get my energy up. And then it's like, hey, I've got energy. If I want to have impact, what do I do next? And for me, it's okay, am I having fun? If I'm not having fun, I'm less creative, I'm less active, I'm less motivated, I won't work as hard. Fun's such a powerful tool, and it also attracts people as well. So, and then beyond fun, for me, it's focus, because it's not my strength. But if I'm having fun and I don't know what I'm doing, I can really get a lot done. But in terms of the Nature Fest and the hackathons, I think whenever you bring people together, it creates that opportunity for excitement, and I think especially where I see Nature Fest to be incredibly powerful, at least in my imagination, is that the world kind of, I don't know, you've got all this energy going on, you've got the protesters and you've got the students that are at times disillusioned but hungry to help, and you've got all these different elements, and in many cases, I think a lack of hope, I guess, or there's all this activity, but the world's getting worse and worse and worse. So I see Nature Fest as a hope, a pillar of hope. When people get excited, when there's hope and they want to help and get involved and what have you, particularly as now there's 5 Nature Fests, 20 Nature Fests, 100 Nature Fests. It's like the place to go to make things happen and help save the world. And I think just through that alone, as well as dancing, of course, you need the music and dancing and having fun like any festival. The fun has to be an underlying element, I think, for so many reasons. Yeah.
I totally agree with you, because with the talk of environment or climate, there's something, so the word associated doomerism. So people are
Wow.
saying how everything is going down the drain and we should be aware. And if we want to make people aware of these situations, it's quite difficult to do so with the
Yeah.
mentality of doom going on. So somewhat of a positive hope, or like a notion of hope
I'm just
associated
going to plug my
even.
battery in. Sorry, one moment. Sorry, Dr. Fleming. We're about to drop out. There we go. I just had to
Sure.
plug my computer in. Apologies. There we go.
That's great.
Sorry. Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah. So, what I wanted to say was the thought of climate and environmental action always is associated with something of a hopelessness or doomerism. Climate doomerism is a term which everyone is using nowadays. So we have to be aware not all is lost. There is still hope, and to do that, something like a nature fest would come in definitely handy. Like the way you are presenting your ideas of like how we can recreate a bond with nature and tell our children and the coming generation to do that would be with the help of things such as songs or puppet. Just now you showed me Toby the
Mhm.
turtle, and then stories, and maybe associating comedy with it, and art,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
debate such as these cartoons. So some people are already working on this all across the world.
Mhm.
Maybe through international cooperation and collaboration, we can bring this together. And Nature Fest is one great idea of doing so, to make climate and environmental action fun. So
Yeah.
that is a great initiative on your part as well. And I hope that there are more people joining in with you and with us all together, so that we can make a difference.
Yes, absolutely.
And moving forward, so I think some of the questions you already answered to the Planet Hack idea.
Mhm.
I would like to ask, could you discuss the role and effectiveness of the on-demand resource platform in facilitating rapid solution for businesses transitioning to net zero and sustainable operations?
What was the first part of that question? Sorry.
Could you discuss the role and effectiveness of on-demand resource platforms?
Yep, for sure.
Like,
Yeah, I think, I mean, what helped, I guess, me appreciate the power of that tool is I had a previous business that was an introductory business for about 5 years, where through speaking directly with about 10,000 business owners, we found out what the challenges were and then introduced them to people that could help them solve those problems at that point in time. So it was timely was a timely introduction. It was the right expert to help them, whether it was a business advisor or a digital marketing expert or what have you. And so after doing that for 5 years, I saw the power of helping businesses just through one introduction. One conversation could make such a difference. And I came across another platform maybe 2 years ago, the clarity.fm, which is a great one. And it's a place where you can go and get help. I can get anything really. It's a HR perspective expert or this or that or the other. It's an on-demand help. So I guess it's a proven model that has impact in regards to the speed you mentioned, the rapidness of the solution and effectiveness. I think again, businesses, one of the things that I'm very passionate about is that there's so many incredible entrepreneurs out there with such incredible ideas and such amazing innovations, and even small businesses, all of which need desperately to be scaled around the world at times, or at least their regions, and they haven't got the skills or the knowledge or the experience to make it happen. And so having an access to people from around the world that can help you at that particular point in time accelerate through those growth phases or ideation phases or raising money phases or whatever it is that's stopping you at that step, and then at that step, and then at that step, suddenly you've got this much faster path to implement and scale these ideas, solutions, existing businesses, and what have you. So I see that is significant just from a one-on-one introduction. But I guess the next level with Planet Hack, it allows you to create a team effectively, whether that's through the process of your problem or the project that you're managing. You might have 3 people hacking at this phase, and then you've got a 10-team hack going on at this phase, all the way through to make it happen. And to make it, I guess, viable, it just simply needs to be cost effective. So if a business has a certain problem that if they can solve it, it's going to help them save $1 million, then they, and they see the risk perspective and the potential and what have you, go, cool, yeah, let's get this solved for $20,000 with their hacking, and through the hacking, often what I saw at that last event was new innovations come, new ideas. You might be trying to solve one problem, and in the process, you end up solving 8 problems, So I think having that accessibility to the right person or people to help your situation at any point in time in a cost-effective way, I think is massive. I really do.
Hmm. So the basic thing is, even if there are like small businesses who might have innovative solutions to not just to environmental and climate related problems, but they could be any problems. But because their idea is so simple enough, they might not be approached, or they might not be taken seriously by investors and say. So if they have a platform to channelize their ideas and bring means like work with other teams, so they can work on not just one solution but maybe different innovative ideas, it will help them to further their own careers and their own ideas, but also in the while helping others to achieve the same. So
Yeah,
basically a creation of something of a like a climate communication channels, or maybe like communication channels for the nature and the environment is important to facilitate that end. So
yep,
you
yeah.
hope work on that in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the easier it'll evolve over time to make it easier and easier to get the best matches and what have you. And one example is, if a business has a particular problem, they can upload that with a video, someone actually explaining the problem over a 90-second video with backdrops. Hey, everybody, this is our problem. Who do you think you could help us? And then hashtag it for the right area of specialists. And then, so the specialists, whether it's students or what have you, can then look through the projects. They get a feeling for that person or operation and go, yes, I want to help with this one and that one and that one. And then on the flip side, students or scientists or whoever it might be, the talent can do the same. They can upload their 60-second video and brief or what have you. So people that are looking for hackers can then, assess much more effectively and pick their team or teams that can help. So lots of ways, I think, to do it and do it well. And at the end of the day, it's just how can we optimize that matchmaking, the right matchmaking at the right time with the right people, solving the right problems, yeah.
So social media also has a big role to play just for like connecting people with, like professional networks, professional learning networks, and to means it has been made a lot easier through roles such as LinkedIn, because you and I also connected via LinkedIn, and then there's also Twitter and other platforms which is actually making it easier for innovators and people like you who are passionate about doing something positive also while sustaining yourself. So things like that are coming in more easily because of the social media per se. So this is
Mm.
going in the positive direction. We need more minds together to make this happen, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
And moving on to the next question. How does each Nature Fest festival connect with and support local environmental initiatives? So, if you, I remember you wished for involvement for people around the globe to work on Nature Fest. So, this would be a platform to maybe explain a little bit more to say how can perhaps songs or puppets or stories can help and support local environmental initiatives. Imagine there's a
Yep.
place where
I,
drought prone or environmental issues going on. How can
yeah.
that, if you
I'll
could
give
give
you.
some,
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you a really specific example because it happened this week, which was quite surprising and entertaining. So there's an organization on the Gold Coast called Ocean Connect,
mm,
and they're brilliant. They do ocean initiatives to help. Excuse me. They're largely monitors. They monitor the seagrass. They monitor the ecosystems, pollution, and all sorts of things. And they're now going to be helping, or a couple of them that are involved, helping create NatureFest, which is fantastic in my region. But what happened is I got to know their organization more. There's a particular slug, they're called sea slugs, which I hadn't heard of, but they're very important as an indicator species to help identify, even where the warm waters moving and the pollution levels, and they're just a phenomenal apparently thing in what they do. So I thought, but as we talked about it, they were talking to me about, sea slugs aren't as attractive as talking about the Great Barrier Reef. They don't get as much airtime because it's like, it just doesn't sound, who wants to talk about slugs? And I'm like, well, okay, cool, this sounds like fun, something we can do to see if I can help create a story, and some excitement about people getting engaged, because they need more divers and people looking for them to get more data that they share around the world. It's quite a significant project that they're working on. So anyway, I just using NatureFest, like a virtual NatureFest, which I've kind of created before in the lead up and between festivals, to be able to still be, bring comedians on the show or songwriters or what have you. Long story short, though, I ended up writing a song called "Not Just a Sea Slug," which I'll have to share with you. And I'm singing this song where I've got an image of a sea slug, in front of the screen, and I'm in the background. How's it go? Not just a sea slug, and I'm singing this song. And it's beautiful. I often write a song and think, oh, where did that come from? But it's a really lovely, sweet song that makes it draws you in, you want to help this sea slug, and the sea slugs help us. And he shares about how, how they do help, and how we need more people to come and counter this, and all this sort of stuff. And then that then, I guess, rippled my thoughts to other ideas of, well, we could make a cartoon show called The Sea Slugs, because there's so many incredible different varieties and colors and so forth, that again, through creativity, you can then start to share stories about how these unique creatures that can really get engaged in the ocean. There can be whales that come into the show, and suddenly they're sharing their stories, and the sea slugs are communicating with, the tortoises, and they're sharing knowledge about this. And before you know it, you've got this team of superstars, super slugs, whatever you want to call them, that are helping to save the world, through cartoons and through stories and through songs. And I'm so excited, literally, about the sea slugs. But then the next night, I maybe sing a song with a bee. So I had a bee, on the screen, and I sung a song about bees, or from the bees' perspective. So I think the art and the storytelling and the engagement I got from those was very good. People love the songs because I think there's so much dry information, out there, whether it's LinkedIn, well, I shouldn't name necessarily particular platforms, but there's a lot of information, there's a lot of pictures, there's a lot of notes, graphs or what have you, all of which is very important. But I think there definitely can be more fun, engaged storytelling, whether it's puppet shows or music or what have you. Comedians, I think it's totally undervalued at the moment. And I think that as that renaissance, excuse me, unfolds, it brings me a lot of hope. And I think, excuse me, the part of the reason I got some of these up here on NatureFest is other than the actual initiatives, people getting involved in planting mangroves or helping transition a fashion business to circularity, circular economy or what have you. One of the other key focuses of NatureFest is to be a breeding ground for comedians, artists, musicians, speakers, cartoonists, what have you. So suddenly out of every NatureFest around the world, you've got this pulsing creation of artists that are then sharing on social media that obviously then attracts more people to NatureFest, that creates more artists, and away it goes. And that attracting the people through storytelling and so on, you can actually then promote specific local real world initiatives, which is kind of fun. It's opened my eyes significantly to the power of becoming, I think we can create empathy for these creatures through becoming them, a bit like, what was it, Finding Nemo, the cartoon. You become really emotionally engaged with the different creatures in that show. And so it's effectively having them solve problems and share their real world experience of what they're finding happening, whether it's plastics floating around, how do we solve this problem? And then it goes up to the wise, one-eyed Penny, the polar bear, who then can, you can follow the story, but be actually connecting it directly to real world problems and using it as a tool to recruit the right people, resources to actually help make that happen. So suddenly, the puppets and the cartoons are saving the world. It's quite remarkable. But I think it can really happen. I really do. I'm already falling in love with that particular sea slug because the way you get emotionally attached. It's how we're created. Everyone had their best. I don't know, back in my younger years, I don't know if you remember the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was a very famous cartoon, and everyone had their favorite turtle, and that was for a reason. They related to that particular turtle. So I think it's the same with any cartoon or what have you. So I'm really excited about that. And again, rather than, I realize, I can only do so many things, but my focus now is to create the nature festivals because that will help create the cartoonists and the artists and all the rest of it. And I'm just kind of pioneering a couple and sharing songs and sharing, enough to then go, okay, this is what we need to create, something like this, so that it can then be showcased at the festivals for others to get involved and really run with it because that's their thing. Yeah.
We hope that we can channelize this event and this talk for you to have more participation from all over the world because people would like to participate in something fun and that is also educational for their children and for themselves. So that is,
it is fun.
yeah, that's what we are looking forward to. So, for the last question to you, so looking towards the future, what are your aspirations for Nature Fest and Planet Hack among your other initiatives? Do you plan to evolve these platforms to meet the growing challenges of environmental sustainability and climate action? So, what are your plans about
What's the
these?
vision? Well, ultimately to create it or have it become created, not certainly by me or just me, by the growing number of people that are engaged to help create or leverage this all these different tools, that can be optimized and leveraged and implemented to with that continual focus of reaching a sustainable world within planetary boundaries as quickly as possible. And so with that in mind, I guess I try and imagine in the future where we are all living sustainably. I've now sold my car. I skateboard, to the train station and I use public transport. I buy mostly secondhand clothing. I've taught myself how to sew. My diet's changed significantly. My red meat consumption has dropped by probably 90%. I'm beginning to live the future in my mind, and I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm getting fitter from walking. I'm talking to people on the train. It's more social. And so through my hope for the future is, and I'm much more connected to nature. I saw today for the first time my first strawberry, my first tomatoes begun to turn red, and it's like, oh, it's exciting, and it's I think having that growing connectedness and appreciation. You know, when I see someone mowing the lawn now, I'll have a chat with them and say, "Oh, do you want to grow some flowers or food?" Or, you know, just start the chat. But imagine walking down the street where there is, it's just nature. You know, there's butterflies and there's food growing and there's, you know, the whole culture's changed. We've slowed down. We're communicating. You know, that's, I guess, what I hope for in the future. And I simply look at tools like creating NatureFest or puppet shows or mini farmers is another initiative to just help achieve that, help create that, and bring it to life as quickly as possible, and help enable others to do that. You know, because I'm only one person, but I'm very confident that it can be done, and particularly because of the spirit of human beings. You know, we can do anything. And yeah, so I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. So basically, to be, I mean, like to be the best, you can help the nature and the climate and the environment completely be restored if each individual people think the way that you are and doing their best at what they do. So
Yeah,
maybe that scientist can be there, come up with their innovative solutions. You, as someone who has a lot of hope and you're making changes in your personal lifestyle, bringing nature fest towards with the things that you are good at, songs, comedy, or maybe a puppet show. So if each of us do our
yeah,
part like
exactly.
that, we will get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where the Nature Fest has so much potential by bringing people together and showing them, oh, you could be a comedian, or you could be an artist, or you could be a, you know, poet or whatever. And that then ripples significantly, you know, it really does. Or you could make your, be an entrepreneur and create a circular fashion business, you know, it's just giving and the support. You know, it's like, who wants to help? Yep, now there's 10 people helping you create a fashion business. You know, I think we can do it together. I really do. So
Yes, we do.
I'm gonna
And
make it
we
happen.
at the Global Climate Association, we look forward to supporting in all your work, like with Nature Fest, Planet Hack, and also trying to uh, help you collaborate and bring in more people across the world so that we can all achieve the things that we are going for while also sustaining ourselves.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Peter, for this being a part of Terra Torrent Dialogue series and Terra Confluence 2024. And it was lovely talking to you and bringing in a new, fresh perspective of how can one individual create a sense of change for the nature and the environment. Thank you so
Mhm.
much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.